Welcome. Glad you're here. I heard you got your first DUI and your lawyer sent you over to me, and my job is to help you out. My main focus is helping Julie reach her full potential. And so we're going to look at some things in your life. Here's my assumption. You're probably a pretty good person, and 99 things out of 100 that you're doing are right. But if you were on a basketball field or on a basketball court and you came off the court and I said, hey, Julie, you did 99 things right, but where am I going to focus on as your coach?
I'm not sure.
One thing that you did wrong. Not because I'm trying to be annoying, because I want to help, right?
Right.
So if you don't mind, please read out loud about understanding good decision making. We're learning about how alcohol affects the brain and the prefrontal cortex.
Okay. The prefrontal cortex of the brain is the last part of the brain to develop in a human being. It may take as long as late teens to early 20s to become fully functional. This area is essential to good decision making. In fact, it is referred to as the executive functioning section of the brain.
Sounds pretty fancy, doesn't it?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
fancy.
executive functioning.
When we are faced with a situation that involves lots of feelings, options, pressure, and morality, this part of our brain is used to create a solution.
So here's the cool part. Your best thinking occurs behind your forehead. You're thinking about marrying somebody. Okay, if I marry this guy, how's it going to affect my life 10 hours from now, 10 days from now, 10 months from now, 10 years from now? You're thinking about maybe going back to school. Okay, if I go back to college, what's it going to cost me in student loans? What's the quality of life going to be like? You know, are the benefits and liabilities worth it? Is it going to give me a benefit to make more money and stuff like that? So all your best thinking occurs behind your forehead. And the theory is about 22 years of age to 24 years of age. That's when your PFC finally kicks in. So Julie, how old are you right now?
24.
24. So guess what? Your best thinking is ahead of you, not behind you. Isn't that cool?
It's awesome.
All right, please go ahead.
As we use alcohol and drugs, this part of our brain becomes unusable.
Oh, is that even a word? Unusable.
I don't know. You look it up.
Let's go with it, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And other parts of our brain take over. Alcohol and drugs prevent the prefrontal cortex from doing its job. Therefore, our parts of the brain take over to keep us conscious and aware. Instead of responding to a situation by using our prefrontal cortex, we react to a situation using our
Reptilian brain. Oh my God, you see those three different colors in that diagram down there? You see the red, the yellow, and the green. The red portion there is the reptile brain. That's the most primitive and unsophisticated. The yellow portion there is the limbic system, also known as the mammal brain or the dog brain. The green portion in the diagram is the neocortex. That's the most sophisticated part of your mind. That's where your PFC is located at. So if you don't mind, please read out loud about the reptile brain in the text box.
Okay. The reptilian brain evolved first. This corresponds roughly to instant gratification and selfish instincts. From the reptile brain, we gain our instinct to survive, fight, flee, gain territory, property, and reproduce. From the reptile brain, we get our most basic emotions, anger and fear.
Oh my God, anger and fear, yeah, very primitive.
This part of our brain is focused on short-term benefits.
Kind of like playing checkers and thinking just one move ahead. Very unsophisticated. Let me ask you an important question. Do crocodiles and snakes make good pets?
No.
Please say no. I agree with you. You please tell me why.
They lack focus and discipline.
Are they trustworthy?
No.
Are they loyal?
No.
If I say to you, Julie, guess what? Me and this crocodile, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, we got some good eye contact going on, I'm bonding with this guy, I think we have a real relationship, I'm gonna put a leash around his neck and walk him through downtown Royal Oak. What would you say about that idea?
I would say I think it's a pretty good idea.
No, don't say that. Say it's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Oh my God, it's a horrible idea. All right, you see my point. It can't be trustworthy, it can't be loyal, and it can't be trusted. Is that making sense?
Of course.
Cool. How about the mammal brain?
The mammal brain, also known as the limbic system, evolved next. From our mammal brain, we get our urge to nurture, to love, and to join with others. From the mammal brain, we get higher emotions such as love. This part of our brain is focused on long-term benefits.
Okay, let me ask you an important question. Do dogs make good pets?
Of course they do.
I agree with you, but you please tell me why.
Unconditional love
Are they trustworthy?
and loyal.
Are they loyal? Are they
Yes.
trainable?
Always.
They can be trained, right?
They're a dog.
Can they express a range of emotion?
Yes.
Are there any stories of dogs doing heroic things for human beings?
All over the world.
Right? Especially in combat zones. How many stories are there about crocodiles doing heroic things for human beings?
None.
Yeah. I challenge you, you're an intelligent woman. I challenge you to find me a story that's legitimate on Google, where the baby falls into the river and the crocodile swims up gently and grabs that baby and brings them safely to shore.
Maybe in Narnia.
That ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
All right, how about the human section or the neocortex, that green part of the brain, the most sophisticated?
The neocortex, PFC, evolved last of all. From the neocortex, we get the skills necessary to make peace between the reptile brain and the mammal brain. From the neocortex comes reason, spirituality, compassion, and logic. It includes our PFC. From the neocortex comes human intellect. This part of our brain is focused on understanding the complexities and our existence and weighing options for good decisions.
Yeah, playing chess and thinking 2 and 3, maybe even 4 moves ahead. So guess what? Let's say hypothetically that you drank underage. Of course, you never did that, right?
Ever.
Right.
I was a good
let's
child.
say at one point you were drinking underage, right? And you show up at this party, and you and your 3 friends show up, and no one's been drinking, right? And so all 3 parts of your brain are working fantastically. Then one of your friends begins to consume 2 beers really quickly. Remember, she's a novice drinker. She's not really having any kind of tolerance. And guess what happens? She goes into what mode?
The reptile mode.
Mammal mode.
Mammal
Right,
mode.
she goes into dog mode, right? And so all of a sudden she's in dog mode and she's like, oh my God, Julie, I love you so much. And she's hugging on you and she's saying, Julie, you're the best person in the whole world. I want to be the best maid at your wedding. Please, we'll be besties forever, right? You're kind of like, chick, I appreciate your kind words and accolades, but you're being way too touchy-feely. Why don't you go sit over there and kind of behave yourself, right? Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that same girl, 2 shots of Jägermeister later, puts that yellow part of her brain to sleep, and now what takes over?
The reptile.
Absolutely, the reptile brain, right? Now she's like, Julie, oh my God, that bitch is talking shit about you. I'm going to go stab her with a steak knife. And you're going to say, no, you're not. The alcohol is affecting your brain. You're going to sit over here and behave yourself. You are now in reptile mode. You see my point. The way alcohol affects the brain is very unique. Alcohol and violence go hand in hand. When people consume alcohol, they misperceive aggression cues. So what does that mean? That means that right now you and I are completely sober, right? If I was to walk around this table and step on your toe, I'd say, oh my God, Julie, I'm very sorry. I'd shake your hand, I'd look you right in the eyes, and I would apologize, right?
Right.
But let's imagine the same scenario, and we're in a bar, you're drinking, I'm drinking, I don't know you, people are gathered around, I might step on your toe, you might actually believe that we are now in combat, right? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna fight for your life.
Yeah.
So alcohol and aggression go hand in hand more than any other drug. Look, nobody smokes marijuana and gets into a fist fight. Let's be honest about this. But alcohol and aggression, they go hand in hand, especially domestic violence. So, for example, here's the thing. You were at point A, you were drinking alcohol, and your blood alcohol level was high enough where you put those 2 best parts of your brain to sleep. But if it didn't happen that way, you would have said to yourself, wait a second, I've had a few beers too many. I'm probably over at 0.08. I better call a cab, call Uber, or call a friend to pick me up. But alcohol didn't allow you to make that decision. Alcohol put those 2 best parts of your brain to sleep, and you were at point A. And it said instant gratification. Point A to point B. The fastest way to make that happen is to drive. Don't delay. And so you're not trying to hurt anybody. You're not trying to be a rebel like James Dean. You're not trying to test the laws of DUIs. You're merely operating under the influence of alcohol, putting back those 2 best parts of your brain. Is that making sense?
Of course it is.
Is that helpful?
Yes, very
Cool.
much so.
So my recommendation from this point forward, if you're going to drink again, please don't drink to excess. In addition to that, please don't have your keys on you, because people that have their keys on them can be too tempted to drive with their car. Is that helpful?
Always.
All right, very cool. So if you don't mind, let's read about alcohol in a little text box here talking about ever been to a bar. Please go ahead.
Ever been to a bar? Notice how drunk people act.
Oh boy.
The males hunt for fertile females to mate with and
Oh my
act
God.
aggressively towards competitive males.
Oh Lord.
Further, both genders fight for territory, status, mating access, and even more hostile when hungry. Now you know why. You are in a room full of human crocodiles.
Is that even true?
Have you ever been to, like, a club before?
Oh, well, this could be true then, right? Well, here's the thing. No one's ever told me a story where they go, Raj, I got really, really drunk last night. I went to the Salvation Army and I volunteered for 8 hours and I ate a salad. Like, that never fucking happens, right? So when people drink alcohol to excess, what happens is they crave high caloric fatty foods. That's why if you want to catch people doing DUIs, go to your local Coney Island at about 2 o'clock in the morning, go to your local Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning, because everyone's eating shit, high caloric food, and no one's doing anything good, right? And you see my point. Does that help you understand it from that perspective?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Cool. Please continue. Let's hear about these subsequent studies.
Subsequent studies on patients with prefrontal injuries have shown that the patients verbalized what the most appropriate social responses would be under certain circumstances. Yet when actually performing, they instead pursued behavior that is aimed at immediate
gratification. Once again, immediate gratification.
Even despite knowing the long-term results would be self-defeating.
Yeah, they can say what the right thing to do is, but when they're tested, instead do what's self-gratifying and self-defeating. So basically, when a person's injured their PFC from a tumor, from a car accident, you bring them into a laboratory setting. They have all these studies where we talk about, well, how's a PFC, when it's been damaged, how's a person's decision-making get impacted? And so they'll ask the person a series of moral dilemma questions. Okay, under this moral dilemma, what's the best course of action? Now, they will verbalize the right thing to do. When they're tested in the laboratory, they don't actually do that. Let me prove this point in a little text box that begins, "Hey, drunken buddy."
Hey, drunken buddy, don't take the intoxicated fat girl with the fresh revenge tattoo on her chest home with you for sex. You'll regret that in the morning.
That's a bad idea. Please don't do that. Please continue.
Drunken buddy says, I won't do that. That's stupid. Next day. Hey, hungover buddy, who's that snoring in your bed? Hungover buddy says, that's the drunken fat girl from last night.
How did that happen? Wait a second. He told you he wasn't going to do that. So what's amazing about alcohol is how it affects your ability to verbalize the right thing to do. Here's a true story. Me and my friend were at Mr. B's pub a while back when we were about 21 years of age, right? Me and my friend, we've been working out, we're in really good shape, but he was a personal trainer. He was in great shape, and he's wearing a tank top. So he's playing pool, he's looking super cool, and we're all hanging around there. And so I kind of noticed out of the corner of my eye, there's this woman walking in, got a big fat wedding ring on, high heels and a skirt, all dressed up to the nines. And she kind of lasers into my friend. She's like looking at him, begins talking to him, flirting with him, grabbing his drink, pulling on his hair. And so I'm talking to the bartender. I go, who's this woman? She's 20 years older than my friend. She's got a wedding ring on, and she's being way too flirtatious. And the bartender smiles, and she goes, Raj, she comes in here every other weekend. She loves messing with the college guys, and you better warn your friend. I'm like, what do you mean, warn my friend? She goes, her husband is away hunting this weekend. I'm like, no shit. So I'm talking college. I'm like, dude, that woman is married. Dude, that woman has a husband. Dude, that woman's husband is away hunting. Dude, there's no telling when that woman's husband's coming back. What are you trying to do?
Be the new mantelpiece?
Oh my God, right? So guess what I concluded? When he told me, Raj, I would never have sex with a married woman. That's adultery, and that's wrong. So guess what I concluded from that conversation?
That he's an idiot?
He wasn't going to do it, right? I thought we were going to be safe. So 20 minutes later, I'm looking around for my friend. I can't find him. I asked the bartender, where did my friend go? And she smiles and says, he left with the married lady. That wasn't the fucking plan. Right? So alcohol is really amazing because people will tell you, you'll be at a party one day in the future, right? One of your friends that had way too much to drink. You're going to say, hi, I'm Julie, and I've been through a lot of my life. I'm really wise. I know a lot about psychology. You've had way too much to drink. Please don't drink and drive.
Right.
Your friend will look you right in the eyes and go, Julie, you're really intelligent, and I really respect you. I'm not going to drink and drive. If you don't take their keys away from them, 20 minutes later, what's going on?
Vroom, vroom.
And how'd that happen?
Because the parts of their brain shut down and
That's
they wanted
right.
immediate
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
You got it. So please continue with the interpretation of this data.
The interpretation of this data indicates that not only are skills of comparison and understanding of eventual outcomes harbored in the prefrontal cortex, but the prefrontal cortex, when functioning correctly, controls the mental option to delay immediate gratification. This is essential for a better or more rewarding long-term gratification result.
Okay.
This ability to wait for a reward is one of the key pieces that define optimal executive function of the human brain.
So basically, the ability to delay gratification is one of the hallmarks of a successful person. If you want to prevent drug abuse and increase your potential, practice delaying gratification. So always throughout history, you always try to figure out who's going to be successful in life. They go into a kindergarten classroom, look at all these little kids. Okay, who's going to make the most money? Who's going to have the happiest relationships? Who's going to have the best educational outcomes? There's always been a strong bias towards intelligence. there was this myth that the smartest kid will make the most money. The smartest kid will have the happiest relationships. The smartest kid will have the best educational outcomes. But as scientists began to study many intelligent people, guess what they discovered?
It's the exact opposite.
Man, many of them don't make very much money. Many of them don't even have happy relationships, and many of them never even graduate from college. So the psychologist said, wait a second here. We feel that the prefrontal cortex and delaying gratification is more important than intelligence, and we can prove it. So they did something called the cookie test or the marshmallow test. They go into a kindergarten classroom, and every kindergartner gets a cookie on their desk, right? We got the video cameras running in every corner, and so basically every kid is told, okay, here's the deal. Don't eat your cookie and wait 15 minutes. The teacher was going to leave the room. When she leaves the room, if you don't eat that cookie, when she comes back, you get 10 more. For a little kid, it's like winning the cookie lottery, right? All you got to do is leave that cookie alone for 15 minutes and you get 10 more. So guess what happens when that teacher leaves the room?
Most of them lack focus and discipline.
Right, and begin eating the cookie. Some of them wait 5 minutes, some of them wait 10 minutes. But truth be told, 2 to 3 kids in that classroom will wait 15 minutes and not eat that cookie. Fast forward 20 years later, who's making the most money? Who has the best educational outcomes? Who has the happiest relationships? Let's imagine me, I'm in college, right? I got a really good PFC. I got my little cute college girlfriend. We're walking around, college girlfriend, me walking around having a great time, right? And so I look at her, I go, hey, I want to see the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie tonight. And she goes, yeah, I want to see the Sandra Bullock movie tonight. And my PFC is like really good, right? And I go, oh, is that really important to you? And she goes, yeah. And I go, well, how about we see your movie this weekend and we see my movie next weekend? And she gives me a big smile and I win Boyfriend of the fucking Year award.
Exactly, because you're a man.
Right, there you go. All right, how about alcohol and drugs?
Alcohol and drugs first affect the prefrontal cortex and new brain functions. This prevents us from behaving truly human.
Oh boy.
Instead, we end up behaving like a reptile, motivated by fear, anger, and immediate gratification. This is only when we stop using drugs that our brain can begin to heal and we can start to act and feel human again.
So here's the good news. If you have any friends that are abusing drugs and alcohol, if your friends leave drugs and alcohol alone for 18 months, their brain scans go back to normal. And that's really good. The brain has a really good ability to heal. And for most people, their brain scans will be normal in 18 months. All right, please continue.
The PFC acts as the CEO of the brain, controlling planning, working memory, organization, and modulating mode.
Yeah, that's neat, isn't it? Modulating mood.
Modulating mood. As the prefrontal cortex matures, teenagers can reason better, develop more control over impulses, and make better decisions for long-term outcomes.
That sounds good.
It does. In fact, this part of the brain has been dubbed.
Dubbed it or just dubbed?
Dubbed or dubbed-ed?
Let's go with dubbed.
Dubbed. The area of sober second thought. Some people say that we stop maturing at the age we begin using drugs.
That sounds bad.
It does. If you begin smoking weed at 15, emotionally you are fossilized.
Fossilized. You are stuck.
You are a dinosaur. 30 years old physically, you're emotionally 15. The reason? Indeed, the simple fact that using drugs stops people from utilizing their PFC. The good news is that if you stop getting high, you can begin to stimulate the PFC back into operation. People that stay sober feel then they begin to grow emotionally and spiritually.
That's deep. But people that stay sober will feel, and then they can begin to grow emotionally and spiritually. I worked at Brighton Hospital for about 4 years. If we can go to Brighton Hospital right now, I can bring you into the group room. It's like half women and half men. And so I'll say, okay, here's the deal, Julie. Go talk to that woman over there. You know, her name is Michelle, right? Talk to her for about half an hour, get to know her, ask her about her plans for the future, ask her about her family. And so here's what probably would happen. You talk to her for a while and say, hey, Julie, come on over here. What's your opinion of that woman? And you go like, Raj, I know she's 30 years old, but honestly, she is like so fucking immature. Like talking to a 15-year-old. And I say, Julie, guess when she began smoking pot every day? 15. Abusing drugs and alcohol at a young age oftentimes will fossilize a person's emotional development. But the good news, if you leave drugs and alcohol alone, the PFC kicks back in, and all of a sudden we can begin to actually mature again. The theory is if you walked into the woods for a year, and you had to get out of the woods, how long does it take you to get out of the woods? About a year.
That just confused me.
Right.
I was like, wait, what?
If you walk backwards for about a year into the woods and your goal is to get out of the woods, how do you make that happen? By walking in the other direction for 1 year.
Right.
It takes time to heal.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, want to thank you for being here. My theory is a humble woman never gets humiliated. As long as you learn from your DUI and you're humble and basically become more grateful, more appreciative of your freedom, this will never happen again.
I never thought about it like that. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.